Yeah, I'm streaming it again. Yeah.
So I did I did mention to people yesterday that questions would be perfectly fine, and I've got my phone here to. I'll give you the questions, and we'll go from there. So
Sounds good.
offline channels, we are live.
Did you see a
And then are we going to set up some kind
Oh,
of...
there we go.
What is your browser?
Oh, did you get logged out?
No. I went to OBS and now I don't know where your browser is.
Oh, go Alt Tab. Hold
Oh,
down Alt and Tab, and you should be
I
there.
see. Okay. So
Because we're still running ads on Twitch at the moment.
let me just refresh this.
10 seconds, gentlemen. 10 seconds.
I gotta get
Come to Linux. It's a better place.
I might be doing that because for some
You know
reason,
what you should do is pick up a cheap-ass laptop
just to try it out.
to experiment with it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Not
we're
a bad
live.
idea.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, hold on. I
All
just gotta change this. With the thing here.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tutor Wizard, our Twitch channel. I'm Tim. We have Adrian here. And Lorenzo's our third party who's busy behind the scenes running everything. As you may have saw when I posted this, a little prompt last night that we were going to be doing this today, I noticed this particular semester, I don't know what it is this week, a lot of people are worried about how to do well in mathematics courses. We're here at the University of Alberta. Adrian is a PhD from the University of Alberta. He's been teaching well, we'll get to his details in a minute, but we get a lot of students from MacEwan as well. How to do well, and Adrian's a professor over at MacEwan and has got a whole bunch of teaching responsibilities this year, so we're gonna pick his brains a little bit. I really want to make a joke about that. You know, we're going to try and be straight here today.
Slim Pickens.
You know, Slim Pickens was a great actor. You know, the ultimate Slim Pickens meme is him riding the H-bomb down from Dr. Strangelove. That's Slim Pickens.
There's a real stunt guy in the 80s. And
this was in the 60s. This is a Kubrick movie, man.
But it's a real guy. His name's Richard Warlock. Dick Warlock. That's the best name ever.
Well, you know,
Dick Warlock.
I used to work with this fellow whose nom de plume was Billy Williams, and well, just think about that one a little bit. Anyhow,
Billiam.
Yeah. His real name was Nick something or other. I actually know his real name, but we're not going to out him. Anyhow, so what are we doing today? Well, let's take a quick review of the classes that we're going to talk about today. And then we'll talk about Adrian, his bona fides. And then we're gonna pitch in on various things. Your questions are welcome. I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So any questions you want to ask about studying for math, that's great.
And then I guess, if we draw them in interrupting already, just
I will
the
interrupt you.
random thoughts.
So if I go like this, you stop talking.
I'll try.
We'll
see how it goes.
No
There's a learning curve.
Yes, there is. So anyway, so the big calculus courses are, if you're in the Faculty of Science, you're going to look at either Math 134, which is focused on biology. 144 is very math-oriented, very physics-oriented. Math 154 is oriented towards people who are looking at the Faculty of Business. If you're in engineering, Math 100 is their first semester calculus. Math 101 is the second semester, and 209 is the follow-up. I plan on talking a little bit about that span of 100, 101, and 209 as we go along, because if you're in the Faculty of Science, you're going to and you have to take if your program requires you to fully do the whole calculus regime. You get 4 semesters, where in engineering you get 3, so that it warrants some special conversation there. Linear algebra, we're going to be looking at and asking about the basics of Math 125 and 225. I guess there's also 120.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So it's just the same as 125.
Slightly
just
less
application.
theoretical. Yeah.
That's right. As far as the math courses go, if you're in the Faculty of Education, you probably will see yourself looking at Math 160, maybe Math 260, which are very interesting courses. There's geometry as well. I should make a note about that. I was going to talk about geometry a little bit, and then I got talking about something else. So.
And then also just in there, what's the difference between taking 100 and 114 or
Yeah.
146? There are slightly different. It's all going to be
yeah.
calculus, but there's slight differences in
That's
which
true.
one should you take. They might have advisors, but
Yeah.
I've met these people.
Yeah, well, sometimes,
said.
well, sometimes the advising community is at least a semester behind. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that as a practical matter because faculties make decisions about how they're going to teach something, and that still has to trickle down to the advisor community. So I'm not particularly envious of trying to be an up-to-date advisor. That's a thankless task there because you're the last person to find out things. So oftentimes it's good to know where to go to ask questions. We're going to get to that. Where to go to ask questions.
And don't relinquish agency. Don't just try to pass the buck on, decide for my life for me. Have
Yeah,
an
no.
input and then just guide and then see what
Well,
they
that's
say.
part of the topic of adulting. We'll
Because
get
if
to
you're
that.
looking for just advice, people give you advice that they know that they don't have to live your life doing it. So they're like, oh, just go do this and then it'll be okay. But it's like you are the one that's going to have to start doing this. So
Oh, you should get a
take
job
people's
here. You should do
advice
this.
should be a bunch of ideas that you float and then you pick the ones you want.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a
Like
lot of this.
I'll take his advice on being quiet when I'm supposed to. I don't want to, but I agree with it that we should keep this going. So there we go.
I warned you. You're going to see a lot of that. Tea. Maybe some of this too. We'll see.
Within
Rates
punching
right now.
I made sure to keep them just out of punching distance.
Okay, so as far as skills go, we're going to talk about notes versus slides. I got a couple of thoughts on that myself. I'm not. Adrian's been around a long time.
Teacher.
This is year 22 for me for working with undergrad mathematics students. I got a few things to say about it. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of office hours. I really want to
That's a good
debate.
one.
I got to bring this guy out, keep him under control.
I
There's
don't
going
go
to
to
be
my
Chat
office hours.
GPT, large language models. I don't care which one you use. You better watch out, as they are not all that, nor are they a bag of chips. Although, that old saying has a bit of a quandary to it. When you buy a bag of chips nowadays, it's 3/4 of it. You're just getting air from someplace. So
Yeah.
even that bonus bag of chips ain't all that great. Oh, we have an ad running. Okay, so we'll let the ad run through here, and then I'll start talking about things again. So this is a time for coffee.
I do hate it when I buy a bag of air and someone drops some chips in the bottom of my bag. Like, what the fuck?
Indeed.
So, on topic of the resources, be sure to mention the help centers.
Oh, right. I didn't make a note
Because
of that. See, this
a
is
lot
why
of
I
the-
have a notepad, because, the brain ain't what it used to be.
And tell them to show up first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, because those are always the dead times,
Well,
right?
no, yeah,
And
just
I'm
hang on there.
And
hang
start
on.
showing up to ours online regularly instead
That's
of
why we
the
have this up here.
institute ones.
Which will be the Tuesday, Thursdays, I
Yeah.
believe, right?
Yeah, and so are we going to start doing that? That was what I was going to interrupt
Well,
at the beginning.
I don't know.
was-
I haven't, I got to find out how the rest of my schedule this coming semester is going to be.
But
I've
just
got
the
more than a little
Discord
bit
or
going on.
whatever, if any of you are starting to actually come across this or start interacting with us throughout the semester and you're in one of these classes, 144 or whatever, it will be treated online just like a help center. Bring your random questions and then we can do them. Yeah, so no
So
questions.
one more to repeat
Coming
that
up,
because
gentlemen.
we're off the.
Oh, yeah.
And
Off of it.
we're back.
Yeah, so repeat
Back.
that. So
Okay.
show up to the help centers.
So show
Alright.
up to help centers through your institute.
He's doing the pitch.
We're back from the ad. What were we talking about? Watch the YouTube posting when we put this back up. You'll get the in-between stuff. So that was two. If
for time to
Lorenzo's
go
laughing
home.
over here, but we're going to get Lorenzo up here in a minute. So anyway, so we're going to talk about the various resources you can use to get your way through this stuff. And I know there's been some changes too, which I'm going to try and come back to. I got to make a note of this too. Syllabus changes. Syllabi, the importance of reading the damn document, right? Syllabi.
You have lots of fun with those syllabi, don't you? There?
There's like two students that read it in so much detail that they start emailing me like, you have this typo. They start finding my typos. And then no one else
That's
reads
free.
it. No one else reads it.
But what you can do though is
stop.
delegate. Because if you're in a class of 100 people and you know that 2 people have read the document, you can always just defer all questions to those two students. I kid.
Actually, that's a great idea. You need to get student interaction. That's another resource.
Come around over here.
No,
No. Just, I need
I'm
you
the
to put your
disembodied
face
voice.
up here. I need, so everybody kind of know what the heck a Lorenzo
No,
looks
because then I
like.
have to pixelate them.
Okay. Anyway, so
He's not wearing his mask.
so we're going to talk about a number of things that you should keep in mind as you go through the semester. One of my pet peeves, and I don't encounter it too much because I don't usually do any marking. I'm certainly not going to be a person who decides your fate about marking. But there's
I
a
do.
difference between raw scores and rounded scores.
Oh, yes.
And if you're going to go looking for a half a point bump or something, that ain't going to get you through the 50-50 mark in most places. I know with the syllabus. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay.
Hold on a sec, because
What, do we got a problem?
yeah, there might be an issue with the internet in this room.
Oh, well, we seem to be working fine right now. I'm looking
You're still?
good.
Are you on?
I'm on, yeah, we're
You're on
good.
Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Good, because this is on Wi-Fi and it's not working.
Yeah, well, if you're on UWS or
Yeah.
guest.
This one's UWS.
Okay, this
one's
is always
mine.
UWS. Okay, so long as I'm still good on my phone, we're
Okay,
still good.
I'm still good
live.
on my phone. It must just be this then. Okay, carry
So,
on.
Let's do this thing. Okay, so Adrian. This is Professor Adrian Biglands. Look at the camera over there, buddy.
I've been trying to get him to look at the camera for 6 years.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
So Adrian has a PhD in applied mathematics, and I think he knows what he's talking about. If you want to see Adrian in action, there's an archive of historical. I'm not letting you talk because I'm not going to be able to get anything in here if I let you just go. But if you go to the Tutor Wizard on YouTube, there's an extensive archive of work for mathematics courses.
Linear algebra,
For linear algebra, well, for all the topics,
multivariable calculus,
multivariable calculus.
your statistics. That's a very underutilized resource. Check out Tim's statistics
Go here.
and Discord.
This is free, and it's specific to University of Alberta and MacEwan. Well, everything else on the internet, unless it's specific, there's going to be some variance. Anyway, so let's get into this here. Let's talk about skills first before we talk about individual bits and pieces about things to know about individual classes.
Gotta have skills. Oh.
So, at the risk of never getting another word in edgewise,
Coffee's almost gone. I was like, I need another coffee.
what's your thoughts about sending students to office hours? And the reason I asked, he's pondering. So the reason a lot of students are afraid of going to office hours, they feel intimidated. And this is fair. That's a fair statement because a lot of profs can be, until you get to know them, you got to warm them up a little bit. So this is a soft skill. But, as long as you're respectful and ask reasonably good questions, and that's a pretty big bar. Don't ask your prof what 2 + 3 is. That's kind of what I'm saying. But if you go there showing that you've attempted to do the question or you've attempted to understand the concept, they'll help you. Adrian, what's your thoughts on office hours? Here's your chance. Go, man!
Don't come to my office hours. No.
Most profs have a sense of humor, by the way.
I think, yeah, it's exactly what you said. Most people are overwhelmed with their. I know, but you angled me this way, and then you want me to look at the camera.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know. It's not a perfect system.
Well, Lorenzo's still learning the directorial cinematography skills.
But I think it's what you said. You want to actually use the instructor's office hours for problems that you've already engaged in, and you can't. You want to go directly to the source. So you get embarrassed, or you don't want the instructor that's in there to know that you have weak spots, but that's who's going to be the best person to fill in the weak spots and do this. But you don't want to just go, normally what I get is, I just don't know how to do number 3. It's like, well, I don't know what number 3 even means, or you're coming to me with just general, I've looked at this one and I read it and I have no idea what it means, so I'm not even going to try and understand what the question is. I've come to you and I want to pass the buck and just be like, fill in the gaps of how do I do this problem. And the correct way to do it is step one. Say I take a linear algebra problem and it says, show that this is a linear transformation and find its standard matrix, and then the kid just comes and says, how do I do this problem? It's like, well, step one, go to the book, look up the definition of linear transformation,
Exactly.
and do this. So this is how you have to train them. You have to use the book or the resources. If you take notes in your class and you never look at them again, why are you taking notes?
Yeah.
I'm going to come to the note business here in a minute, but that's a good point.
And it's a
Never-
two-part process. In lecture, you should be going, at the end of a good lecture, you should go, what the hell just happened there? Because then that means you're learning things and new things have been disseminated into there. So this is the grazing period. Cows have 4 stomachs and they can't digest at the same time as they graze. So they go out and graze, and you go to the lectures and then you graze and you get your intellectual
Interesting
material,
analogy.
and then you sit back and
Metaphor.
It's very apt.
then you sit back and digest afterwards.
But you made a good point. One of the things when I work with students is never assume that the student fully understands some definition, like linear transformation. The very first question I would ask of the student is, okay, so what does a linear transformation mean to you? Because quite often the very first thing that goes wrong is you have the mathematical definition, which is quite precise. I got a comment about that in a minute. But the precise definition versus the understood meaning, there's often those two things, those circles don't overlap. They really don't. But a piece of advice I always give students is, in mathematics, a definition means only what it says. If you're really good at English language or interpreting literature, you're good to read between the lines. You never read between the lines in mathematics. Mathematics is worded to mean only what the words say. And even then, there are times when that don't work and you need clarification. For instance, my favorite is the word distribution. There's a word with a lot of different interpretations. We'll get to that. Okay, office hours. Go to them, use them. Don't be afraid of your prof. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
And be humble. No one expects you to be a rocket scientist, especially first-year mathematics. You got to get your feet under you, right?
And the mantra is go to the source, whether you're reading it or trying to understand a definition. You want to think to yourself, what were they doing when they decided to make that definition? Because it seems like you're in a vacuum, or that there's this magic handed down from on high definitions and theorems and stuff, but a human made that definition and a human made that theorem, and you want to look at what were they doing to make that horrible mathematical definition of linear transformation. What are they doing for us? So that's the correct question. And in that same vein, you can go to the help center where you have some overworked grad student doing it, or this, or you can
Grad students need all the love they can get.
Yeah, but if you're in the class and you have the person that actually made all the assignments and the midterms and the curriculum and decided what they were going to talk about every day, who better to actually get what's going on in the class? If you go to third-party sources, yes, in the math topic specifically, it's fairly easy across the board. If I go on YouTube, a linear transformation will be a linear transformation, but in other subjects also possibly no. So you want to go directly to your instructor for the last say, at least, on which sources to use or what to...
Another word that comes up, linear transformation being one of them, but in calculus, one of the things, and this is even with students who've done Math 31 in high school, is what does a limit actually mean? And I'm not talking about epsilon delta crap.
If you're not picturing the behavior of the graph of a function near a value, you're doing limits wrong, is my mantra.
There we
It's
go.
describing what's happening to functions as they move through the plane.
Is it moving towards a value, or is it moving away from a value?
Is it blowing
That's
up
right.
positive or negative?
But the
Yeah.
thing that students mistake, and oftentimes isn't made entirely clear, is limits really aren't telling you anything about at the limit point, though. You want the neighborhood of the limit point.
Right, you're talking
But that
like,
excludes the exact value. So the function value at, say, 2 is the function at 2, but the limit as you approach 2 from the negative side or the positive side, this is a different thing altogether.
so you're talking like 1 over x, for example.
Yeah,
You don't
any
know what's
division
happening
by
at 0, but as you approach 0 from either side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
you
yeah.
would want to do, you're going to have to split it, and this is the
Yeah.
hardest ones. And so what happens when I talk about getting into the analogy of the limit at first, if I do this originally, I don't go to 0, I go to 1, those are the ones you like, because once there's no problem,
Yeah.
I can put it in there. And this is a finite limit. This limit is finite because it's going to, I don't like to use the equals anymore, that's why I wrote it
Exactly,
down.
yeah.
It should be an error, it's approaching arbitrarily, equals is a lie.
Yeah.
And so they say that in the book, it's like, well, why don't you just slightly change the notation then?
Yeah, put
So
an arrow.
yeah, so it's approaching 1. So this is a finite limit. The limit is the finite one at a finite value. And now let's just go off through all 4.
Crap, do I got to change all the questions in the quiz now after you mentioned this?
If I switch this one, now this is going to 0, but now we don't know where it's going. And if you know what the picture looks like, this is exactly what I'm saying. I know what this guy 1 over x looks like. So if I'm not picturing this as I try to do this, it gets a lot harder. So once I picture this, even it tells me that I should look at this becomes the plus, and then this one becomes the minus symbol that I'm going to start using.
Exactly, but the
And then I'm
point
picturing
is,
it.
the point, and no pun intended when I say it, is this thing right here is the most important aspect of understanding what a limit isn't what's happening here, it's what's happening as you get close to it, or you in the neighborhood of a point. And when you get into larger dimensions, 2 or 4, 3, 8, whatever, you either have a circle or a disc, or you're going to end up with a ball or
I
something.
took the chalk, so you can't.
You got the chalk.
Cut me off, but I took the chalk.
I got the mic now. Yeah.
What is this limit, though? What is this limit?
DNE.
That's right.
And then we'll discuss why later.
Oh, so if it's from the left there, because you have the negative
Oh.
sign there, yeah.
All
Let's
right.
erase that negative.
That one.
Now it's DNE.
And then what if I switch it
Not to be
this?
hate to be that guy, Professor.
It's like, but if you put up your hand and said that you want to be that guy, but if I switch that to a 2 now, what's the limit? It goes to positive infinity. So we're describing behaviors, but in your mind, stop using the equals. The
Mhm.
function is tending towards something
Okay,
as
well,
this guy goes to 0.
I will change that in all the quizzes that I just made.
What we need is
did you
another
give
camera
one
for
over
the
X?
disembodied voice
I
over here.
did actually.
We'll just keep them in because it's a learning experience. Also, there's
That's
one.
fine. I'll change it. It'll take 2 minutes.
If you watch me do this in class and then you forget how I did it, it's okay to do the exact same problem again. Everyone says, can I have some new problems? It's just like, take the ones that we've already done in class, delete the solutions, don't look at it,
Yeah.
and try it again.
So Femvox Van is saying
Yeah,
hi.
I see that. Yes, I was just going to say,
Hello,
we have
hello.
one of our regulars joining us. Good morning. I have written well, Adrian has one too. I think everybody who teaches mathematics eventually writes their own dang textbook for this stuff. But the way I wrote mine was I make extensive use of everything's on PDF nowadays. So, here's the problem on this page, and I leave you the whole rest of the page so you can doodle on your tablet, and then you want to check your work, you just click next, and there's the answer on the side, right? Old-timey days back when everything was in books, I mean, if there were answers in the back of the book, it's just the answer. They sure not going to tell you how to get it. And that used to annoy the heck out of me as a student. Anyway, we're getting off topic
answer
about
and
that.
solution, right? Difference between answer and
Yeah.
solution.
So there's an idea.
We'll get to that.
Never assume that you fully understand an idea. If you think you have the slightest doubt, consult another source. And the best source is your prof at office hours. The second best source, and the difference is probably can be measured in some epsilons. You got to talk about math. Help centers. Universities have help centers. The Dessner Robinson Center here at the University of Alberta. There's also the help center at McEwen.
That's
Lorenzo, the disembodied voice over here. Well, you set the thing up, and now Lorenzo's working in it.
Yep.
So Lorenzo, come over here. Put your face in the camera.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay, he's being shy. But the point is, use the help centers because why? That's through you. This is
So
your
if
chance
you
to
need-
talk again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna chime in here because
Yeah.
to tie in what Tim was saying earlier, like you don't go to your professor for 2 plus 3. Go to the help center for 2 plus 3, right? Like my job is to fill in all of the gaps that you might have, whereas your professor is specific for that course, for that help
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
And as Adrian was saying, he's got 4 different courses this semester. Specify what you're in and what you need help with,
Yeah.
right?
One of the things that people or students don't understand is oftentimes teaching profs are teaching more than one subject. So be clear, because it's dangerous to be a person in office and is holding office hours. You can assume that the student who showed up for office hours is there for that subject, but students are pretty random sometimes, and they'll just show up.
Eigenvalues in
The best-
in linear algebra versus eigenvalues in graph theory versus eigenvalues in other subjects, right?
The best way I can phrase it is, there's no stupid question. I don't even mind I think what you're trying to say is, don't go to them to the 2+3. I don't mind whether it's a 2+3 question. The cliche is there's no stupid questions, but I can tell as the professor whether you're actually just trying to get the answer out of me or whether you're trying to understand the problem.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
start phrasing the question as, use the terminology of, don't say number 3. It just sets off in my mind and probably a lot of the other professors, that just means you don't care about what it is, but talk in topics and question specific. Say, I don't know what this linear transformation thing is doing, and stop learning on your homework, because there's an added extra pressure there, because you have to hand that thing in and there's an assessment for it.
So one of the things I like to tell people
Answer and solution. There's a big difference
is
between
the
that.
quality of
also.
the question is directly related. You might even say the quality of the answer that you get is a function of the quality of the question you ask. So if you ask a good question, and then it's not easy to come up with to word a good question, but think about it a little bit. Try to do a little self-analysis, a little self-insight. Is there any other type of insight? I guess, sorry, I like to get random. But the point is, word your question in a way that the person who's trying to answer the question.
Anti-symmetric, damn it. It doesn't work both ways. I just had it, yeah.
I'm going to never live this down, you know that. 'Cause but someone's got to rein him in.
But what I wanted to inject in there is the difference between K-12 and what's going to happen to you now if you're transitioning from this
Good point.
is
Yep.
that K-12 is only going to live in, say, quadratic equation. They're not even going to show you how to deal with the non-real solution. So they're only dealing with specific cases, and then they're going to give you the algorithm, and then once it clicks on and you have to do, it's a quadratic, and then you do the same thing, and then they change the numbers, and it's going to become algorithmic. What they're specifically going to start doing, and the more that they sit in there and make them feel good about the questions, is and they get bored with the same questions that they've had from our point of view, because we have cursive knowledge, and then we like it when it's like, you get a slightly different question, you're like, I'm going to subject my students to that torture. And so the point being is, they're trying specifically to pull you out of your niche in your mind where you were just a pigeon on a stool from K-12 and just doing algorithms and just running these things. They want you to use your thinky brain, and they're trying to make the neurons curl in your brain. So they're not just going to give you, not every question is going to be carbon copy. And I get, a lot of students, you'll put practice questions after the midterm, and then there's one that on the midterm that's not the same. They're like, well, that wasn't even on the practice. It's like, that's not the way that this is going to go anywhere. They're not carbon copy. They're trying to take 2 or 3 concepts eventually and put them all into one problem,
Right.
reword it, re-symbolize it slightly, and screw with you to see if you can put those pieces back together. So you should know at the forefront, they're not just going to say, here's how you do that thing, and then here's your problems, and you do that thing.
questions-
They're going to change it around and manipulate it so that you have to use your thinky brain and
Yeah.
put pieces together and solve a problem.
So the questions
That's
are
the big- Yeah.
the questions are representative of the concepts. It's not
Right.
that the questions
Yes.
are representative of what you'll be tested. Like the
So if
question
you're
will
just
be
trying to
asked.
find the algorithms like you did in K-12, you're
Yeah.
going. This is, I think, what most students feel the most is, but they can't articulate, is that in K-12, all they do is train you to do. We have this process. Do the process. Change the numbers. Do the process. Change the numbers. Do the process. Then you get here, and you're going to get eaten alive by the sharks of the U of A if you're
Right.
a big guppy in a little pond.
Well, this is I've had this conversation already a couple of times with people late
Coffee
this
is
summer.
key.
I drank mine, you can't have it.
I already lied it up.
If you get the right answer to a question, and engineering is really, this is the way they do it in engineering, because it's a real grind over there. you're getting 80%, maybe 90% of the marks for any question is technique, not the final result. So if you're used to just coughing up, well, the answer's 2, that ain't worth much, if anything. You've got to show how you got it. And
in engineering specifically, I know that they're trying to weed you out. They're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff and lean on you.
That's what they use the
specifically.
math courses for. Yeah.
The engineering department uses the math department specifically so that we're the bad guys.
Well,
and then they're just trying to lean on you and have you tap out in the first semester, and they're trying
so
to
the
have
thing
this
to keep
happen.
in mind,
Yeah.
there's 4. So is this tiresome yet? I'm not even trying anymore.
It's like, yeah.
So the thing to keep in mind is the engineering
Still the challenge.
faculty is keen on understanding that you don't want bad engineers. I mean, keep in mind that if you're going into engineering, you're going into a professional program, and that's the same as law, it's the same as medicine. And you don't want someone building bridges or
Open heart
buildings
surgery.
that doesn't really
Or sending an
understand
innocent
the
person to
discipline.
prison.
Don't worry, I've got a C- in angina.
Well, you,
Whoa,
wait.
you know, when you,
Angina's in the heart.
Oh.
Angina.
No, I
there's
meant
a conversation going on here, and I'm coming this way here. So
crossfire.
this is chaos, man. This is like herding
I
cats.
love it.
This is
That's
herding cats.
that's how your university experience should be. A little
Yeah.
chaotic, directed
You
chaos.
know, you should enjoy it. You should enjoy your
Exactly.
university
Exactly.
experience, and you shouldn't have this rigid dichotomy. Is that the right word? Yeah, that's right.
It
Rigid.
depends
You
on what
know,
you say next, but yeah.
you speak, I listen. I speak, you listen.
Oh, there you
Sometimes it's chaotic, and you know what? It can be a lot of fun, and sometimes that's where the best ideas come from. And I was going to say, if you get yourself a student study group, you know, there's usually going to be somebody in a study group that likes to talk a lot. And then there's going to be people who like to listen a lot. And then you got people like Lorenzo who's sort of in between.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
I
at the end of
straddle
that
the line.
conversation, oftentimes the right answer and the right solution to the answer pops up. So see it as creative force in motion.
So on that, actually,
Disembodied voice
Yep.
named Lorenzo.
that's right. In terms of like the chaotic nature and the back and forth with the professor, one thing you need to learn is your professor's teaching style.
Yeah.
Right.
So personal style counts.
Oh yes, a lot. So for example, in someone like Adrian's class,
Yeah.
he's presenting and I know this because I was your student. He's presenting an oration, right? He's presenting a lecture. So that's the
in
shut
the
up and
Socratic
listen.
style?
In the not so much
No,
the Socratic
Platonic.
style. That's right. So this is where you listen to the lecture, right, and then you save your questions for office hours or afterwards. Versus some other professors who will want a little more of a back and forth, an interaction type thing. Both perfectly good styles, but that's what they are. They're styles, and you need to learn that when you're in a particular lecture.
Yeah.
So me at the help center, if I'm walking through an example,
Yeah.
I like the interaction. Stop me and tell me which part that I just did that you didn't understand.
Yeah.
Versus you saying, okay, this is what the definition of this is, and this is how you go through it, right? Like, don't interrupt that one, but different styles you can interact with in different ways.
You made a point, and I'm going to ask you. I want your thoughts on this too, because as the dude in the learning center, the help center, this is relevant to you too, because there's nothing like wrong notes. But so I've had class. I've never taken. Well, I've never had a chance because age differences and everything. But Lorenzo's teaching style. Lorenzo, why am I looking at you? Adrian's teaching style is one where he just goes. Hence the. You notice how the T started here. Now it's about like this because I can't be bothered.
We're in
anymore.
love with the subject, not
Exactly. But now the question then
not
becomes.
the grind of having to teach 200 students at a time.
What's the downside of trying to, I challenge anybody to write down a complete set of notes in some professor's class because they just go. I remember when I took honors
I did it.
calculus.
I can do it. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
really
but can you
your
understand
hand
it?
hurts at the end. It's just like, oh, that should be what's happening. Yeah.
When I took honors calculus 14 years ago,
Volker
the
Rundle.
prof, no, it was Professor Chen, but, he'd come in and just go. And it's just like, holy carp. how do you keep up with that? So some profs, the only thing you're going to get is the notes you take from class, but most profs now also have slides. So the question I have then is, so here's the given that. So given that a prof provides abbreviated notes for a lecture, how many handwritten notes should you take? Should you even try to keep up with it all?
Well, yeah, it depends on the individual, I think, too. But especially, I don't like. First of all, I'm a wolf pack of one, and I don't play well with others.
Yeah,
so,
but think about when you were a student, though. What did you do?
Religious note taking of
Okay.
everything, and I used to.
That's
fill
it?
I used
Religious
to,
note taking? You never stop talking. That's all you're going to give me is religious note taking.
It has to be. Well,
A
yeah.
lot is said in that.
Because even in this, I can't be prompted when the ideas come. I want to purge them out. When you ask me specific questions in a time frame, then it's going to.
Okay, that's fine.
I can't do script. I have to do only
Improv?
there was something else that I was trying to think of. That
I'm
I
sure
didn't
we'll
want
get
to
to
forget
it.
doing.
We'll get to
that
it.
I didn't want to mention.
My thoughts on the matter, remembering my own student days and the advice I normally give to students, again, it's personal. You have to decide. I mean, you've spent 12 years in education, grades 1 to whatever. You're trained to take notes. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to stop that. Okay, I'm only going to write down the things that I don't understand so I can look at it later. Man, that's hard to do because you start well, shouldn't I write it all down? I mean, you're going to have to make a judgment call on that. But sometimes with mathematics, it's better to watch the solution and then do some short annotation about how that works with a note to review it later while it's still fresh in your mind.
I think what you're saying is, for me it was, I just insisted on just taking the notes and getting everything because I knew that I was going to sit later and just spend time with it.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're not reading the notes later, or I think it's in the same vein of what I just said earlier, if you're going to, the problems that I do in class are 100% not going to be the ones that you get on your assignment or on the midterm. They're not going to be carbon copies. So in that sense, at first the student's worried about getting the details of the specific answer to that problem, but you want to get the idea of the category, what type of problem I'm doing. So a lot of the time writing down the details of that specific problem isn't as important as just knowing the strategy of steps on how to solve specific, more complicated problems.
You know, and I think if I was to
Those types
give
of things.
advice to someone who's trying to teach a class, there's a lot of truth about old dogs and new tricks, but there are young dogs out there who are, grad students getting their teaching experience. Sometimes the best thing you can tell a student right at the start of an example is, here's why I'm showing you this. There's a strategy here.
That's a good one. Yeah.
For instance, the one that comes to mind, and I was thinking about this on the way in this morning, if you have the limit as x goes to a, and a is not 0, and you have sine of some rational expression that isn't defined at 0, and you're thinking, well, I can use a special trig limit for this, but if you look at the special trig limits for sine, where you have sine of a sine of x over x is equal to 1 at 0, if I'm remembering that correctly. The point of getting at is the angle, the limit point has to be 0 for the technique to work. But as the problem's presented, you can't, the limit point, x goes to say 2, whatever value happens to be, that doesn't meet the requirement. So you still need to take the polynomial or the rational expression inside the argument of sine apart so you can show that it does go to 0 at the given limit point, and then you can apply the special trig limit. If you tell students ahead of time, I'm showing you this example because of this idiosyncratic scenario, whoa, there's a word and a half, then you've actually taught them, watch out for this. It's silent in here.
It's forest for the trees. Even in that vein,
Yeah.
why do I want?
Good, yeah.
Even in that vein, why do I want sine x over x? Why do I want this limit?
Without using L'Hopital's rule. This we have students
A
going
bunch
by.
of students
Oh,
were like,
people
so how did they
exploring
get in that
campus today.
special room? So I waved at them. And they all waved back.
Well, no, that's
Polite.
cool. Yeah.
But why do I want this limit? He's talking about it was hard if, and then you don't write it down. He's talking about the limit sine x over
I
x.
have the
stole
chalk.
it.
He's got the chalk again. So x goes to a, or 1, I don't care. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
there we
there
go.
it goes.
But you've got to show that this thing here is going to go to 0 or
But
it's not going
then
to work.
already in that, this is me saying, I can't help myself. I was bored with the original one, so I changed it slightly and altered it. So then, but what we're really talking, what he was talking about originally is going to 0 and sine x over x. This goes to 1, it turns out. You can use squeeze theorem in geometry.
Yeah.
But even this is the way that I'm teaching it is, yes, why do I want this limit and why do they show this limit even? Or why are we doing limits in general at all? Because the limit gives me a way of defining derivative. And specifically for the derivative of sine and cosine, this limit appears. So to show that the derivative of cos is negative sine in its definition, I need this limit. And there's another one. The limit
Are you going to do the cos one?
x approaches 0, of cos x minus 1 over x.
Now, I want to make a point while he's doodling that. You can take the reciprocal of this expression. This is still true. You can have x and sine x.
It's 1
And here
over.
you can change the order of the subtraction.
If you flip it upside down,
That's what I'm
algebraically,
saying.
that's- Why?
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be the limit. You can
Yeah.
put the limit inside and it's just 1 over.
Uh-huh.
And then that
There
one
we
still
go.
goes to 1, it goes to 1 over 1. But you get lost in the algebra eventually, but why do I want to, what I try to also point
Yeah.
out, which is what you're saying is, when I teach a class, I don't like, you have to start using your own agency, I guess, at this point. I don't like a lot of the things that the big machinery, especially at the U of A, because it's just a beast. I don't like 200 and 300 student classes.
It
and I can
unfortunately
ultimately
is
say,
the way it
and it's
is,
just going to be
yeah.
this way. I don't like these pre-class. You're just going to get barraged if you take some of these certain classes. You're going to get pre-class quizzes, and you're going to get a freaking pre-class notes, and then you're going to get a PowerPoint, and then you're going to have to annotate it, and then they're going to give you stat questions, and then they're going to give you a. This is, in my opinion, this is too much. This starts focusing on being educated and filling out the education hoops in the games, and then you somehow didn't learn calculus at all. But if you're raw just trying to learn the material, I want this limit specifically because I want to know what a definition of derivative, or why do I do limits at all?
Well, on that then, like,
And
is
it's
It's
it,
a
not
body
that-
voice.
is it 12 to 14 weeks is too short to actually engage with the material property to learn it, like you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I wanted to throw in on
In
this
short,
too.
yes, yeah.
I'm as I get older, I'm coming around more and more strongly to think that the 4-year undergrad degree, and this is certainly applicable in engineering in my opinion, really should be 5 years, because the depth of, if you want to be competent, the depth of engagement to the material, I think, requires that extra year if you really want to turn out competent people, because otherwise you're just going to
And the
you're just
other
going to
one-
slam it into your
Yeah,
brain.
the other one I wanted in there is, and we can talk about it too. The magic in your life lies within the work that you're avoiding constantly. Is
There we
the quote.
Yeah.
And so, start taking yourself out of your comfort zone and start pushing. Yeah, it's like the other things that I disagree with. Academia can't be a safe space specifically. You have to put yourself out of your comfort zone and try new things and push yourself as hard as you can. I'm about
Room
to teach.
to grow, yeah.
Yeah, so I was about to do this regular semester, and I had 2 linear algebra classes I've taught a bunch of times. It's like you can get in the plateau and it's
Yep.
comfortable. I just
But now
walk
you're
into
doing
class and
combinatorics.
just do it, and this was my point. It came across my plate where they needed somebody to teach combinatorics, and there's certain topics in there that I start next Wednesday. I don't know how to do half of the class. It's like I'm already learning it. So, but yeah, this is what
You
have
know how
to.
to do it. You just this is the first time
The
you taught
details
it,
aren't
yeah.
there, so I'm fleshing out the details. But I take that because every time you take that and you move yourself out of your comfort zone, you get stronger. This is
Yeah.
the crucible of the help center too.
Oh,
Once you
yeah.
can go in there and just take triage of
Totally.
these random questions,
Here's a stats
it's
question.
terrifying
Here's
at
an
first.
integral.
But-
Here's a derivative.
But
Here's
this is the only way to get strong
Hey,
is
do
to
you know
just
how
try
to
to.
do
just
You
analysis?
know,
doing them.
a lot of students are, and this is what prompted me to organize this little stream today is there's been a lot of questions about how do you survive statistics and how do you survive Math 154. We'll come back to the exact what the course numbers mean in a bit, but my point is a lot of students have gotten through school with and they've done that. They've developed an aversion to mathematics. My advice to you and I'm basing this on my own personal experience, and I do not consider myself to be much above. If anything, I'm an average person. I'm not smarter than anybody else, and I don't pretend to be. But anybody can consciously, I've got to be careful with that's a big wide brush, but try to put aside the past and approach mathematics with a new appreciation for what it is. You're learning an intellectual discipline now. In high school, quite often it becomes just a pointless, busy work, waste of time class because that's what all your friends say. But now you're learning the language of your world. This little piece of work right here is the epitome of applied mathematics. If you don't like math, you got no business holding an iPhone or an Android or anything. I mean, the fact that I'm having this conversation with 5 more floors, well, there's not 5 more floors, there's at least, well, there's several hundred tons of concrete and steel above my head, yet I'm not worried about it falling on my head because some competent engineer built the place.
Presumably competent.
No. You leave your cynicism and your disembodied voice. You just stay
Well,
over
in
there.
some sense, yeah, we're preaching to the choir because this is, if you're just here to just get your C in Math 134, then I can't help you. But yes, my analogy is hammer swinging certificate. Everyone, if you're actually trying to do this and separate yourself from the masses at a university that has 40,000 undergraduates or something like this, how do you separate yourself from this? It has to be on your own onus. And you have to think to yourself, I want to know how to do things, not get certificates.
Yeah.
I want to learn things, not be educated.
What was that thing you said in your one engineering class when the kid smart ass was like,
So I'm
doing.
doing a review in the engineering.
Yeah.
I was going to say it earlier, but he fucking teased me, so I forgot about it. But I'm in a class with 300 deep engineers in the big auditorium, in this big auditorium, and I'm doing a review for the Engineering 100 final exam. And I'm like, do you want me to do that question, some question again? And he's like, is that going to be on the exam? And I'm like, probably not that one specifically. He's like, then no, you keep going. He's like, I'm like, you're sure you don't want to just know it? He's like, C's getting degrees, and 300 people laugh, and I go, yeah, but not jobs at the end. And then silence. You can shut 300 engineers up. One
And
sentence.
that's a hard thing because
So-
engineers like to talk.
They like to get their pinky ring.
That's right.
But
Bloody pinky ring.
We're going to get to engineering specific stuff here in a minute. Keep this conversation moving on.
or the difference of them.
Read the syllabus. The collective, I mean, if you're taking a full course load, you got 5 syllabi to look at, but what should you be pulling off a syllabus when you first get it? Office hours, grading. The syllabus is telling you how
Like
they're
the
going to
breakdown of the
grade.
marks, right?
That's right.
Questions you don't ask
Yeah.
for like no good questions. Where's your office when it's like December
Oh,
3rd,
yeah.
the end of the semester, and you still don't even know where my office is, and you come and ask me where it is? Probably not. I'm gonna tap the course outline and be like,
Man, don't make me tap the sign again.
Be quiet, disembodied voice. Until you're not. So, one of the things I've seen a lot of, and I wanted to make a point about look at your syllabus. Syllabus?
octopuses. I just wanted to say pusses.
Well, you know, I've got the
Pusses.
emphasis on the wrong syllable today. The difference
Avatar.
between rounded
This
marks and
one.
fraction marks. So oftentimes it's going to
Fibonacci,
tell
so
you
I'll
on
allow
your
it.
syllabus. You stop talking for a minute. I'm going to let you go here in a minute. You can run rampant here in a minute, but you can just steal a quote from some cartoonist. You can't control him. You can only steer him.
Point me in a direction.
That's right. But
I don't care whether I'm going north or south in that direction.
My point exactly.
This is a direct.
I
That's a
can't-
linear algebra joke.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Vectors, magnitude, and direction.
Yeah. Same direction,
Oftentimes-
oppositely directed.
I'm making a key point, gentlemen.
Okay.
No. Shush. Your grade is determined by your raw final score. If it says grades are determined by the raw final score and you're sitting there at 49.6, you're doing the course again. They're not going to round you to 50.
Oh, I shouldn't name names, but
Don't name names. We're
first
trying to
name,
be
his
polite
name's
here.
David. His last name is, you'll
Doesn't
know.
matter.
Anyways, yeah, he goes through you have to submit them to get your grades approved, and I have an Excel list with like 300 students in it, and you try to round a couple guys, and he'll never find those. David will find them. And be like, you rounded from a point one to round down. I'm like, I know, but it's a letter. And no, he'll make you change them, so yeah.
But this is all determined
yeah,
by the
this
next.
has happened.
Yeah, but this is all determined. I mean, your prof, the course captain gets the final say, but everybody gets their marching orders from someone else. And that is the faculty administration. The people who finally decide these things are above, you're never going to talk to them. And the profs have to do what they're told at the end of the day. So if you're thinking, 49.8, they'll round me to 50 and I'm going to pass. No, if it says raw scores determine your grade in your syllabus, 49.8 means you get to do the course again. Don't fool yourself. You don't even waste your time sending an email saying, please, 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 because the prof's hands are tied. They don't have agency to do that.
Stealing from a chemist at McEwen, the best way, students were saying, like, trying to do the cop pulls you over and I pay your freaking salary. So then there was a student that they're saying, I paid for this. And so what you pay for, I'm stealing this from some chemist unnamed, I'm not giving credit, man. But what you pay for this 600 or whatever ridiculous amount of money they charge you now for one course is, you buy a seat at the table. You bought an F. Everything else is hard work.
That's right. You bought a seat at the table.
I like that. That's a gooder.
It doesn't guarantee you a grade. You start off with an F, and you're doing it wrong. If you're trying to get a C minus and then happy with anything over, you're doing academia wrong entirely. A plus is what you're looking for. Anything else should be a disappointment, and there will be regular disappointments. Get used to this. Is what your academic career will be.
I will be.
My job is to make you feel like you don't know anything. Your job is to get used to it. Get used to it. That's what we're doing here.
My personal experience taking math
If you
courses.
think it's a different game, it's not.
I've never been an A student. I've always wanted to be, but at the end of the day, it just keeps coming down. Okay, B plus, I can live with that. But I'm not happy. But that's at the same time. I took courses when I was much older than most everybody else in class. So all the little keeners. And I don't mean that in a bad way, although I'm not sure how you could say that in a good way. They get the A's, and that's fine.
Well,
people ask that too. What can I do to get a better grade? I don't have any idea, but I was the A student, and I got the Dean's Silver Medal in Science, and you have to keep your GPA over 3.7 for the whole thing. But how did that happen? And people ask.
Sweat, tears?
Yeah, I've got it. I've seen it. It's raw silver.
That's a real thing.
I have a coin from the U of A with my name on it. Do you? But how did I get that? By knowing everything is the joke. But yeah, my A grades are a consequence of learning everything in the class, not trying to get an A. I never thought to myself, I need an A. I thought to myself, I need to know how to do linear algebra. And that's how you get A's.
Well, and now I wanted to use this as a segue in. How do you turn that A into a B plus? Well, it comes down to time management in many ways, because one of the things I've encountered with students I've
David
worked with
gave me a B minus in graph theory.
who have outside. Well, I've tutored athletes, for instance, and of course they have obligations to their teams and things. But sometimes your time management says, I just can't finish this assignment. Well, okay, once, that's fine. But if it becomes a regular thing, each time you're just chipping away at that final course mark, and pretty soon all the A's are gone, and now you're in B territory. And, so try to manage
at
time.
that time.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I was just saying was, same David that checked your things, I took classes from him at some point, and he gives me a B minus in graph theory, but I now teach graph theory, and I had to use it in my PhD. So at the time I had a B minus knowledge of graph theory, but I kept doing it outside of the course. Oh my goodness.
That's the
just
key
for
right there.
Outside of it, after the class was done, I kept doing graph theory because I liked the subject. So the best way to say this is that your 4-year degree is for society. The things you learn are for you.
Right.
The things you learn are for you.
Yeah.
The ticket that you need is
And
for
it's
society. I
amazing.
have the PhD little ticket, but I don't ever, go and look in the wall and be like, oh, fancy. It's in here. The things that I keep and treasure were the 15-year journey and the things that I learned along the way, not the ticket at the end.
It's not the friends you made too along the way.
Nah, fuck.
Sorry, that's the
I
media.
didn't. Also, from
Listen,
my point of view,
boys.
Wolfpack of One, I didn't go to any. So, academia will try to say don't work in groups, and the ChatGPT did this. This is wrong for the most part, except for me. I wasn't going to any of those things. Why? Because
Well,
I
there
only
wasn't
wanted
any.
to do work, and there's always some asshole that talks too much, and I don't want to talk about my weekend. I want to talk about linear algebra, and that's it. So I stopped going to these meetings. But this is all has to be an individual. There's no universal royal road to geometry. So what works for one might not work. You have to think yourself. You have to stop passing the buck and following. You have to follow a little bit and get in there, so then when they eat something, I'm in the middle and I don't get eaten around the fray by the sharks that are trying to get me, and I survive the process. But you also have to start, you can start pointing where that mob goes and make decisions on your own. I said, man,
This way. Yeah, there you go.
I'll get it. It'll be Pavlovian
This is
eventually.
what I meant. This is exactly
You've
what I meant.
invented a new
You
symbol.
can't control him. You
Double
can only steer
T.
him.
Time to go home. Lowercase.
Okay, well, you mentioned ChatGPT, and that's what I wanted to talk about next. So a lot of students think now before ChatGPT there was the online homework helpers, which was Chegg or Edu, whatever.
There wasn't
the
even
hell.
a learning center when
No.
I went.
There wasn't either when I went.
My day.
Back in my day,
Old man
uphill
yells
both
like
ways.
that.
It snowed every freaking month.
Stay away from the Cheggs of the world and the course heroes of the world, because they're making money off you. Remember the internet saying about if you're not the customer, you're the product. You're the no. Beware of that. And you remember, profs were students at one time. They're not stupid people. And a lot of faculties have at least one or two people whose whole job is to keep an eye on these external influences. And you will get burned.
Oh, it's getting increasingly easier to spot which answers on an assignment were ChatGPT answers.
Yeah. Okay, disembodied voice. Speak a little bit closer to the microphone then.
Oh, no, they heard.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, I've got it on the microphone set to pull up
When
all
you're
the
not
audio.
interested in the answers, what Lorenzo's saying is, when you're interested in truly the process and the procedure done, I can tell whether it's an automaton robot producing that from things that it's gathered, or whether a human brain has thought through some certain things.
So if you use ChatGPT as a personal tutor, like a professional tutor,
Anything else, a tool, not
As long
a
as you
crutch.
realize
Not
that
a
it
crutch,
makes
it's-
mistakes.
yeah.
Like tutors make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time.
Oh,
but
that,
I'm honest
yeah. I
about
mean,
it.
I make not half. Several times I make mistakes at the help center. Come
But
see
to
me in the
do-
help center,
yeah.
please.
To do
That makes
mathematics is to understand you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect, and that includes ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is an aggregation of human effort. But every human effort is fraught with error. So it's gathering the errors as well as the knowledge. So
You
be
can
aware
purge
of
the
this.
resentment attitude too, where you get so many students come in there and they're like, well, the guy at the learning center couldn't even do the problem, so what the hell is this course? It's like, yeah, math is hard. We don't have the answers to the infinitely many frickin' problems that you can pose in the mathematical scenario. Would it be uncountable? I don't know.
Well, I
I
don't know,
think
can
it
you
is
assign it to an
uncountable,
actual
yeah.
number?
Would it be though? Because it would be discrete. It would have to be denumerable at best. How
So
do I
this is
have
what
a
happens when you
continuum
talk
of
math
problems?
to mathematicians. You start asking yourself, wait a minute.
Either way, I'm not getting
Is this
through
how do Okay, we're sidetracked. But the
Infinity
point is,
an
I'm not
extremely
going to
long
harp
time,
on.
especially towards the end.
We're not going to harp on the ChatGPT Chegg thing, except to extend a caution. Understand that when it collects all this human knowledge, it also collects all the human errors in knowledge. So if you put 100% trust in Chegg or Course Hero or ChatGPT or any of the other LLMs, you're
And I'm guessing
you're risking chipping away at your A plus and knocking yourself down a grade,
And
because
then
it's going to make mistakes.
having access to sitting in these department meetings. I don't go to them anymore. There's one
Shush.
next week. But having access, I don't.
Shush.
No, it doesn't work. This one
The
works.
students
that
don't care
doesn't
about
work.
you and your
But the
crazy thoughts.
being privy to getting to see these conversations of all the instructors in the math department talk about how they're going to mitigate ChatGPT You want me to shut up, or you want to keep
No, no,
going?
no. I was just looking at you while you were going on, and I'm going, with a little bit darker hair, with the gray and everything and the beard, doesn't he look like Benedict Cumberbatch?
Cumberbund. I want.
Well, I was going to say something else.
When I'm
from
Smaug.
what's in the Marvel.
So
Yeah,
Doctor
Doctor
Strange
Strange.
is who
Doctor
he
Strange.
played.
You
He was better known
remind
for
me of
Sherlock,
Doctor
though.
Strange. I just had this
Sherlock.
flash,
Yeah.
which
But
is entirely
to get
different.
around the ChatGPT stuff, I think the way that a lot of the instructors are going is giving only assessments. So
Yeah.
instead of giving assignments or anything now, what they're giving is 5 in-class quizzes and then a final exam.
Yes.
So
I
that-
do kind of agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what's going to start happening. And then what the student does is, classically, from my point of view too, you'll get students come in with waterworks and be like, "I've got 100% on the 10% for the assignments because I begged, borrowed, and steal
50% of the time.
Roll it, yeah. I stole it off of everybody that I've been working with in my big group. So in that scenario, I've got 100%. But when I do the midterms by myself, I can't even pass. So I think that's what you're saying in a large thing, that if you're just going to try and float around and use ChatGPT to do your homework and feel good about the fact that you got all the answers right and you handed in your homework and your assignment, those are going to be worth little or no actual assessment marks. And then you're setting yourself up for failure, because I'm relying on the fact that my 2 midterms and my final exam is where I'm going to separate the wheat from chaff, not on the assignments. The assignments are for you again. You're cheating yourself if you're just trying to use ChatGPT to give yourself the answer cookie.
He got it. All right, he got it. He got it. Okay, I wanted to make a quick little comment about this, and then we're going to move on to
The thoughts come and go
advice
as
for
fast as
speci-
they come. So if I don't spit them out, then it's not going to happen. I look over here.
Yeah. No.
I need more coffee.
Because I know we need a coffee gopher.
Hey, wait a second.
Coffee now.
Now
Do
Starbucks
I
is
look
open.
like an intern to you guys?
So I've spent a long time teaching mathematics to some of the athletes on campus. And the way, and this makes sense to them when I talk about it like this, is when we work together, and I'm teaching you stuff, I will help you as much as possible. I'm coaching you. I don't like the word tutor. I am your math coach. But when you get to the midterm exam
It's always
or
the
exams
GH.
or final exams, this is the same as you going onto the field and playing the game. When we work together, that's practice. But you have to perform at your best on the exams. And athletes understand that because they're expected to do that, whether it's football or hockey,
That's a good
basketball,
way to-
Music.
whatever the sport is.
Yeah,
When
definitely.
you're out there by
Baking,
yourself,
the proof is in the pudding.
that's
yeah,
right.
It's all,
You have to perform. So take that analogy, the metaphor of athletics is a great one.
Yeah.
Whoever's
Athletes.
helping you is your coach. Exam time, now you're on stage. You got to do it.
So do you want to
Okay.
keep the mic for a bit? Adrian and I will go fuel up some coffee. You want another coffee?
I do want another coffee.
So we're at an hour right now, so you can.
Yeah, well, the Starbucks is open, and then Tim Hortons downstairs is probably
Yeah,
going
I
to
don't think I'll ever step foot in a Tim
Yeah,
Hortons
that's okay.
again.
No,
So,
we don't want to.
I like
I'm not
this
looking
water.
to. Okay.
yeah, but
So,
okay,
yeah.
Adrian, let's go.
You guys go
Tim,
grab
you have the
coffee.
floor.
And then this one, talk about this. This will save you. If you come to me at the end of a calculus class and you say, this was the actual and this is the weight, and what do I get? Oh, in all subjects, please cross multiply it.
I know. Okay. So while you got the door, you're
Oh,
good.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
we're all
Cool.
good. Just
All right.
don't press buttons.
They're leaving me to fly solo, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. So just to summarize this half of our session this morning, when the lads get back, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the calculuses or calculi that it's academia. You got to do the Latin thing, right? We're going to talk about the courses and specific advice to them. Just to reiterate, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the undergrad calculus, first year stuff, so here at the University of Alberta and at MacEwan as well. The calculus, here at the U of A, calculus is split up into 134, which is oriented toward biology, 144 for the harder, well, I would say hard. When I say hard, I don't mean difficulty. I mean like physics, that kind of thing, or mathematics as a degree, and then 154 is for business. So these courses are all broken up with focus on 2 different topics. Then we're going to talk about linear algebra a little bit, some advice for that. Statistics is what I normally dabble in. and geometry. So the covers, we'll have advice for those. But anyway, to summarize what we spoke about in the first hour is notes and slides. Do you try to write down everything the prof puts on the board? Part of me wants to say, no, you shouldn't. If you already know how to do a particular technique, then why write it down? Just watch. Maybe you'll learn a little trick or two. And there are tricks, you know. If you've had a good mathematical background in high school, particularly the last 2 semesters in high school, so typically grade 11, grade 12, maybe you've seen some of the tricks. I kind of hesitate to use the word trick because that implies some sleight of hand, but they're techniques. But we'll see about that. We have videos on the matter. What do you do? Well, if there are provided slides, you can make notes on the annotated slides. I know a lot of people, almost everybody's using a tablet or a laptop these days, so the business of paper is kind of, I'm old school. I like my paper. I have it right here. What to do about that? So I would say you got to feel it out for yourself, but at the same time, some profs are voluminous with what they throw up, like with Adrian. When he gets going, it's good luck trying to keep up. And I know there are other profs who are difficult to keep up with as well. But entertain the idea of maybe not having to write down everything that goes on the board. Almost all these introductory math courses have a textbook. Material in the textbook will be the same as what went on the board. So if you missed something, you can always reference a textbook. Okay? And here in Cameron Library, this entire floor is the STEM floor. If I had a mobile camera, I'd go show you. There's the huge volume of math books here. Use your library privileges. They are there for your benefit. And let's face it, when it comes to calculus, there's nothing, or linear algebra, nothing much has changed in the last couple of hundred years in the context of calculus. Linear algebra, maybe not. That's a bit newer, but my point is, you're not learning cutting-edge mathematics right now. Okay, use office hours. The syllabus, if you're the syllabus back in my day would fit on a single page. Now it's probably 3 or 4 printed pages because everything is spelled out. Why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. But we have an ad. Okay, so I'm going to wait for the ad to run out, and then we'll talk about that here a bit more. What's that the ad for? Another video game that I don't have money for these days. That's fine. Narrow down one ad, or we'll get to the rest of this in a bit. I know when this is on YouTube, you're going to say, well, what ad? But we're doing the live stream right now, so I don't want to be talking about something important and have it lost because it's behind the ad. I've got one more to go here. Is it a short ad or is it a long ad? Oh, it's just a short one. And we're not back yet. Okay, I need my glasses for this. Old age, you know. Old age is a terrible thing, people. It's a terrible thing. Where's my cane? I've had to start walking with a cane lately. Motorcycles to blame that. We're back. Okay, so pick up where the ad's interrupted. Use the syllabus. The syllabus is going to tell you where your prof's office is, when their office hours are. They're going to tell you, the syllabus tells you whether pass-fail is on rounded scores or raw scores. Almost every course is going to be, pass-fail is going to be based on raw scores. And your prof has no leniency to round things. So when the time comes to assign final letter grades or whether you pass or fail the course, those fraction of marks matter. They're not going to be rounded. Don't fool yourself. People say, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. Yeah, but you're just one of probably 36 people asking for the same rounding. And there's only so many times a prof can politely say no, and then they get grumpy, and then people start to get angry at the prof. And the prof's hands are tied. This is all determined by their boss. I mean, everybody gets marching orders from someone, and your prof gets their marching orders from the course captain, who gets their marching orders from the faculty head office. So, you can go and ask the prof, but you're going to get the, how many times do I have to say I'm not allowed to round it? So my point is that fraction marks count. So if you say, okay, well, I'm running out of time, I can't do this assignment, or I can't do that, or, after a while, you're chipping away down towards an F. So be aware of that. And sometimes you got to make these decisions. I'm not saying life don't get in the way. I'm just saying there are consequences to chipping away. Earlier I said I've never really been an A student in mathematics. I'm always a B plus kind of guy. But then again, I came to mathematics later in life, and like a lot of people, I'm not unsympathetic to outside obligations. I had at least one job, and children too. So if you're a single parent going back to school, I'm very sympathetic to the grind, not unsympathetic in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so beware of chipping away at your marks, because it just keeps bringing you down. So beware of the implications of a raw score versus a rounded score. You can round the score, but the prof ain't going to round the score. Syllabus points this out. So the syllabus is a document that outlines the goals and the expectations of the course. Your prof's going to go through all this. I've sat into some of these sessions, and it has become a very long-winded discussion. Almost the entire first class in some courses is spent with an extensive discussion of the implications in the syllabus. It never used to be that way. First time I took a class was in 1993 here at this particular school. And the syllabus discussion probably lasted maybe 20 minutes, and then straight into math. Probably ain't going to happen to you. That's how times have changed. Okay, so that's all well and good. Office hours are well advised. By all means, please use them. Your prof probably, I say probably because I've known a few over the years that you go, maybe that doesn't apply to you. They want you to succeed. I think it's rather sociopathic to say to a young person coming into the university environment that we want you to fail. It might seem that way, but unless someone has some serious misanthropic inclinations, they probably want you to succeed. But at the same time, they're not going to give it away for free, because everything that you learn in a 100 level course is going to come back to be useful in the 200 level course. But this stuff is all cumulative. Mathematics is a cumulative discipline. So don't think that you can skip a topic. We've all done it. Adrian was talking about, combinatorics is something that he didn't particularly study much. He's more of an analyst and an algebraist. But now he's teaching combinatorics. But the thing is, by the time you have a PhD in mathematics, you have learned how to learn. And a lot of the graduate work is self-taught. If you want to use an analogy to trades, when you're in the undergrad program, no matter what it is, you're serving an apprenticeship. You're learning the language of the discipline. You're learning the tools of the discipline. But once you make journeyman status, now you're a graduate student. Now you're expected to be able to do things. The level after being a journeyman in the trades is to be a master. And that takes time. And that takes discipline. And none of those two words are easy to come by. So, be nice to yourself. Do not here comes the coffee, lads. Oh, yay. My point is, I could use another cup of coffee myself. My point is, be nice to yourself. It's the extremely unusual that thank you, lads.
I licked it, but
that's okay.
Did unspeakable things to your coffee on the way here.
Did you guys have to go over to Sub to get this, or did you go to the new place? Yeah.
The Sub.
Okay, cool.
we don't have a cane, so it was quick.
heard
You looked to hit me with it.
One moment.
Like son of a bitch. Wait 1 moment, 1 minute, 1 minute or so. I'll take the beating at this stage.
The cane can also serve as a hook, just so you know. Okay, now it's my prop. I'm going to lean on it. Okay, so I was just, while you guys were out getting coffee for
We
part
don't
two
need
of this
break.
discussion, I was just summarizing the takeaways from our first hour. And now I would like to, ooh, the king just showed up. I would like to talk about specific advice for specific disciplines in mathematics. And I want to talk about math as a discipline. It's not just a pointless busy work subject. You want to do anything interesting, there's going to be math involved.
So here's what people have to ask themselves: are they measuring something? Are they describing a shape of something?
Yeah.
There you go.
Disembodied voice.
There you go.
Draw a picture. That's how my brain works. You said takeaway, which is also subtraction, and the word that they'd use is diminish. Nobody uses that one anymore. That's how my brain works.
How about reductory?
Reductory.
We want to
Successive subtractions is long division.
I wonder, before we get into the various topics, I wonder how many people realize somewhere along the way in their K to 12 education, how many people remember that outside of the
Not gonna
addition
add
and
it.
negation operations, that's it. What's subtraction
I've
except
taken-
repeated addition of negated numbers?
Yeah.
Philosophy 420. It's the opposite of what you think. It's meta logic. It's, dude, bruh. All we need is like negation and ampersand. We can prove everything with
That's a true story. Yeah.
with conjunct, but it's rendered so.
So does that
disgusting.
make you Alfred North Whitehead?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Whitehead and Russell?
Bertrand Russell.
Yeah,
I was
Bertrand
gonna say
Russell.
is
Yeah.
yeah. No, I had David Sharp. Nobody knows who this is, but he was one of the founders of like a modern logician, symbolic logic,
Yeah.
doing axiomatic, not philosophers. Mathematicians learn more and more about less and less. Philosophers learn less and
You
less
mean it's
about more and
reductory?
more.
Is it reductory? Well, I
Yes.
feel like I'm
I
missing.
got that.
I feel like I'm missing a syllable in there. Is it reductory or is it reductionary?
I think
Reductionary.
it's reductionary.
Reduction.
But that could be reductory
You
too.
know, we could make it like a reductorium.
Well, it's like
where-
algebra.
where
It can
you
be anything you
unlearn
want.
things. Ooh, that's a good one.
What?
Reductorium, where you unlearn the bullshit you learned in life, in school.
Take note from
Oh,
like
I totally
1984,
wrote
how to
that down, too.
recondition people, but in a positive way.
Okay, let's get on. Let's
Re-education.
focus, gentlemen, and disembodied voice.
Hold on, I'm
Um,
noting that reductor.
So the two topics that show up here in questions, how am I going to survive this class, is either going to be a first semester calculus or first semester statistics. So let's talk about calculus, because most people have to take one semester of that. Not everybody, but most people do.
Exercise analogy. If you're exercising your mind or you're exercising your body, the people in, as you were saying, in all of the, what do they call that?
I don't know.
Sports, all the
Oh,
sports.
right, athletics, yes.
Athletics.
Yeah.
I was like, what's that? The fancy word for doing
The thing that
sporty things?
mathematicians
Yeah.
never do.
The thing that
Athletics,
I don't
that's the one.
interact with and the periphery, but we're exercising the brain. So to keep
Yeah.
the analogy going,
Yeah.
if you want to get swole, you don't start lifting 300 pounds, but you'll eventually be able to lift the 300 pounds, but it has to be regular little increments consistently
And don't hurt
every day.
yourself or you need a cane.
So the answer to surviving the class, I basically am tapped out of this class and I don't like math and I don't want to do it, and I have had this attitude going into it and I want to know how to survive, but I have done no extra problems. I haven't looked at the notes. I haven't done any problems with the ones that are on the sheet that they assigned me. How you survive is stop doing that. You have to start interacting with it, do little bits, do 1 or 2 questions. The cliche is, but then you scare everybody off. The real story is, for every in-hour lecture, you should be doing a minimum
3.
of 3 hours out, but nobody's going to
You
realistically
know, that
do
was
this.
my experience in 1993.
So just little
Homework
bits.
was always 10 written response questions out of the textbook, the even numbers. I think I probably put an hour